Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, Link, Ethereum, Avalanche. We're also going to go over the S&P 500 as well, because I think it's important to keep in mind that the general sentiments around all the markets are important in our space. So that in mind, stick around to the end of the show as well, because, well, you never know what's going to come. So we're going to just dive right in with Bitcoin on the daily. One of our favorite things to do is just take a moment, be patient, and understand where we are in the markets. We are in accumulation and on our way to starting a bull market in Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, I believe we are already in that market cycle in Ethereum. So let's take a look at this. As we zoom in on the 4 hour, this is what's going to be nice here, is we've been watching this trading range form. This new one here, we moved right up to the top of the trading range yesterday morning after Square announced it was buying $50 million of Bitcoin. I imagine that they will continue to do that. They probably have buys set up everywhere around 10,200 to 9,200, and they'll just try to absorb this area here where we have our previous POC from our last area of reaccumulation. Seems sensible and a smart way to play. But again, I do suspect that this trading range will fill out before we see a further movement. So one of the things I thought was interesting is the relationship of this. It kind of looks very similar to this. So I'm going to give a shout out to Halo Trader on this reaccumulation schematic, one that we had looked at the background before. Again, you see the kind of upper distribution range that then turns into an accumulation range. I think this is what we are seeing in both Ethereum and Bitcoin. I think this is important to do for a few reasons. Is we're looking for this change over the creek, which is basically the top line moving averages around your 30 to 50, depending on how you look at it. So here, if I go on and I turn my 3 moving averages on, and more importantly, we go back to the daily here, you can see that we've just kind of basically stubbed up into the 50. And on the weekly again here too, you can see that we've gone directly into the 9. Now, we've talked about this many times before, that the 21 weekly moving average is the sign of a healthy bull market. We said this all the way back here in June of 2019, because when we saw this move and we never touched the 21 weekly moving average, I told everyone that this was not the start of a bull market because it was not a healthy move. We were looking for a continual test of the 21 moving average on the way up. And it's one of the things that signaled to me that we were in a bull market the last time way back here in 2016. As you can see, I zoom in, here's a test of the 21, test of the 21, test of the 9 and the 21, and then a breakout eventually occurred. Until we see that, I do not believe we are in a healthy bull market, and we have just tested that now and are stuck between the 9 and the 21 week moving average. Now, the reason why I'm going to jump into the S&P 500 next, I think, is also equally important. We had been watching this upper trading range on the daily that had reached all the way back to January of 2020, before the pandemic started, and we broke out of this trading range as soon as talks of stimulus were added back to the table. In my mind, this is going to lead us into new all-time highs over the next 5 years in the S&P 500 as we basically witness asset inflation to some degree or another. If you're not already in the markets, you will probably have no positive benefit from a lot of this, but if you are in the markets, we're going to have a lot of fun here. So there are some things that could destroy that, and as a trader, as an investor, as a speculator, we all know that none of us actually know what's going to happen, because we could invariably get hit by an asteroid tomorrow and all those predictions would get thrown out the window. So instead of doing that, what we do is balance probabilities. This trading range breakout that we've seen right here is important for a few reasons, because it highlights to most traders and investors that we are going to likely continue higher, especially based off the talks of new stimulus and Federal Chairman Powell's talks about how they will just continue stimulus for multiple years until we are well upon our way into recovery. Now, if we look at the weekly here, I want to point this out as well. I think that it's interesting to see that we have had such a strong recovery and a total decline of volume since 2008 effectively. Not a great sign, but as you can see here, we have pretty much just only declined in volume aside from this stopping action that took place here in the S&P 500. Now, the United States has to keep these companies up and running, otherwise people will lose their jobs, and in a place where people need work, keeping the companies up and running was their first modality. I do believe the next round of printing will come out will be much more akin to what we call helicopter money, where it will be going directly into the pockets of the people and the smaller businesses. We can only hope. So we will have to wait and see what that means. Now, I'm going to take a look at Ethereum, and I'm actually want to show you guys something that I think is quite fun. This is the DeFi perpetuals. This is a basket of a bunch of different DeFi currencies and the shit perpetuals as well, which is basically a basket of small cap tokens in the like $0 to $150 million market cap range. If you look here, you can see that it was very similar run up to Ethereum and this break back down. So I think that these are good just to keep a general eye on the market. But more importantly, what I want to do is then look at Ethereum. Ethereum, we're already in a bull market. As a matter of fact, I believe Bitcoin is back here, testing this reaccumulation range, very similar to what we saw. And I think we're going to have the SOS in Bitcoin, which I've said multiple times, would bring us to around $14,000 to $16,000, something like this here. So one of the areas I'm going to go into next is an effective look at Ethereum and our assertion here. Ethereum led the market last time, and I think it will do it again this time. Now, the reason that's important and what we're looking for is a real change of character. Now, if we go into the 4 hour on Ethereum here, we can actually start to see that this might be happening. Now, if we close above this regression line and continue to move up, especially if we close above 397, I believe it's going to signal our first run into resistance, something very similar that we were seeing into this chart here as well, which would be this first run up into resistance before we get stuck below the creek. So I think we're going to see this get stuck below the creek probably until November and then see a final breakout. Now, the reason why this is important is because for any of you that have studied the big traders like Hoyle, Jesse Livermore, or Wyckoff, you'll know how powerful the sentiment of understanding is and how you can use it to your advantage while you're trading. So I want to make this very clear, guys, and I'm going to look at Link here and Avalanche as an example. I believe that we are forming a new trading range on Link. As you can see, we are starting to move up. Now, I do not know yet if that is the case. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. So I'm patiently awaiting a confirmation on these trading ranges in both Link and Avalanche. So here, Avalanche, you can see we're in a descending channel for quite some time, and we broke out of it just yesterday with a nice run upwards of around 20%. I do suspect to see the top of this trading range touched, which brings us somewhere into November. Again, a retest at LPS and SOS, and then a breakout further into highs. Now, Avalanche is a great technical play, and I do believe that they will do very well in the future. So I'm keeping a close eye on all these. But yet again, look at the DeFi perp. And one of the things I want to point out is that you have a much higher course here. The DeFi perpetuals are up 4%, while Bitcoin's up 1%, right? So this whole entire sector is effectively moving faster. Anyways, I've got someone here to visit me apparently, so I'm going to have to jump offline. Thank you guys all for joining us. Leave us your comments. Gently caress that like button if we can give you anything, if we can help you out in the comments as well. And we will see you guys again on the other side. This is a very short video compared to the rest. I guess I have to go though. Hold on, intro, outro, logo. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.